let me pan into Nigeria and say, all my working life, Nigeria has been cursed by oil. And it has, in all honesty, it has messed your economy up. And the fall in the oil price, viewed long term, is a huge opportunity for you. In particular, it's a huge opportunity for Lagos. You are going through at the moment the agony of adjustment. Adjustment externally, getting the exchange rate right, instead of banning this and banning that, and internally, getting the fiscal balance right. 70% of Nigeria's fiscal revenues were oil. Tax of the non-oil economy was only 3% of GDP. In my country, Britain, tax is 37% of GDP. So, yes, there'll be painful adjustments, right? But once you've gone through that adjustment, and it won't take long, you will find yourselves in a wonderful position, because Lagos has huge opportunities. Globally, the future will be dominated by coastal megacities. Coastal, because you've got to be able to integrate into world economy, and megacities for reasons that this lecture is going to try and explain. Not only are you a coastal megacity, you've got a vast hinterland. Nigeria is Africa's big country, and so you've no border barriers that stop Lagos benefiting not just an immediate hinterland, but the whole nation. How do you do it? How? Well, the key to good policy is a golden alliance. A golden alliance between the business community, here you are, and what I call the authorizing political environment. So, you need a business community allied with a local political authorizing environment. You are extremely lucky that any megacity needs a unified authorizing environment that has a spatial span of control that covers the city and its hinterland. Because megacities grow, most of them do not have such an authorizing environment. A lot of African cities have several mayors and a very confused power structure between the local and the national. Fortuitously, Lagos State has a span of control and a level of authority which is appropriate for the megacity which is located in the state. You've got your authorizing environment right, and that is true of very few megacities globally. Right? So you start from a good position. You also need an alliance with the federal level, because there are some things that the federal level has to get right. And so that is the golden alliance. The local business community, the authorizing environment of Lagos State, and enough links in liaison with the federal government that it does things which are helpful rather than counterproductive. So now let me get into the substance of what I've got to say, which is building a city that works. What I mean by a city that works is two things. It's going to be productive and it's going to be livable. I'm going to start with productive. And I'm going to start with a bit of economics. No apology. And we start with something called the miracle of productivity. And the miracle of productivity is what transforms ordinary people from being unproductive, desperately poor, which has been the fate of almost all mankind until a couple of hundred years ago. Suddenly, 200 years ago, something new happened that transformed ordinary people, ordinary peasants coming in from the farms, working in factories, was first seen by Adam Smith. And he was astounded. That's what his book, The Wealth of Nations, was about. He couldn't believe what was happening before his eyes. What was happening before his eyes was people came together at scale and therefore could specialize on different things in the same organization. And scale and specialization made people dramatically more productive. Not by 10%, but 10 times or 100 times. This is what transforms the society, lifts people out of poverty like a rocket, scale and specialization. But scale and specialization it can only happen on platforms that make it feasible. And that platform is a city. Scale and specialization don't happen everywhere. They happen in cities, and not every city. So, what does the platform of a city that works provide that enables scale and specialization? Basically, two things. And they're not complicated. Energy and connectivity. Without energy, you can't be productive. Without connectivity, people can't come together and communicate. So energy and connectivity. I'll say a few words. In each case, energy and connectivity require some infrastructure and some services. A stock of infrastructure and a flow of services. I'll say a few words about energy and then much more about connectivity. Energy. You haven't got it. It's not complicated to get energy. There's probably been too much focus in Nigeria on generation and not enough on transmission. The real bottleneck is transmission, the service of transmission. One of the problems is people are reluctant to pay. If people are reluctant to pay when they take it off the grid, other people are reluctant to put it in the grid. Right? There's new technologies. Embrace new technologies. Prepay. New technologies are going to be your friend all along the line in urbanization. Right? So, enough about electricity. But let me turn in more detail to connectivity. Connectivity is a lot more complicated than energy. Connectivity depends upon two things. To show you, I'm going to have to put this microphone down for a moment. Right? Hopefully you can still hear me. Suppose you want to connect my left hand and my right hand. There are two things I can do, both sensible. One is build a link between my left hand and my right hand. That's called transport infrastructure. The other thing I could do, anybody think? I could move them closer together. That's called density. Transport links and density. That's the vital ingredients into connectivity. So, international, think international, but then within the city, think transport for mass movement. You, nearly all of you, got here today in individual cars. That is not a viable means of transport in a megacity. Okay? Individual cars stuck in a line down a street are equivalent to digging that street up. you've jammed up the street. Right? You might as well not have built it. Right? And so you have to decongest roads. You need a lot of roads. As a city gets bigger, a higher and higher proportion of the centre of the city needs to be roads. Obvious if you think about it for a moment. Right? More people are trying to get into the centre, you'll need a higher proportion of that central city area as roads. But if you depend on cars, you'll just destroy the roads. There'll just be traffic jams, right? Negative roads.